everyone. I have my handy dandy guide again because I tend to get a little off track, so I think I might as well have this. Just wanted to start off by saying this video, excuse me, might be a bit longer than the others because we are going into the history of Wicca and witchcraft. There is a lot of history there. I mean, I'm not going to give every single detail, but I'm going to give the most important things that you should know, and that will be good for you to know for future reference and things like that. There are a lot of things that you can always, I'm going to later on in another video, I'm going to, give links to all the books and everything that I've read and everything like that. It's good to have on hand for reference. So, let me get started, because this video might be, a little long. But, so, excuse me, for some reason, as soon as I start the videos, my throat decides it wants to act up. So we're going to jump right in and get into the history of Wicca. I am going to read, because like I said, there's a lot of information, and, if it was up to just my brain, none of us would really know where I was going with anything. So I am going to read off my little guide that I have here. I have my little history of Wicca. So I have everything written out. Okay. Wicca was founded by Gerald Gardner in Britain. In 1954, that is the year that is commonly given as the founding year, because that is the year that Gerald Gardner published his book, Witchcraft Today. That was his first nonfiction book on the subject. Some date it as early as 1939. Most people just kind of say, mid-20th century, because it's just kind of like one of those things where it could be anywhere between 1939 and 1954. So some say one thing, some say another. 1939 is the year that Gardner claimed to have been introduced to the faith. Most just say mid-20th century, like I said. According to Gardner, he was initiated in 1939 into the New Forest Coven, where he helped reassemble fragmented teachings of a much older religion. If you were to study paganism and then refer back to Wicca, you're going to see a lot of similarities. You may see similarities as far as Celtic, going back to Celtic traditions and things like that. There are a lot of Celtic traditions in Wicca. Even like Native American, you find a lot of, I'll go into all of that as I go, but I mean, there are a lot of different, where it kind of pulls from all kinds of different directions. This is why I write this down, because as you can see, even with it written down, I kind of go elsewhere. So, Wicca bears some influence of older pagan and non-pagan traditions. Gardner's religion was initiatory, and Gardnerian Wicca continues to be today. Other initiatory traditions also emerged, and Gardner embraced them as being branches of the same religion. There are currently 8 branches of Wicca, and I'm going to go into each one of them with you and give you a description, a short description of each one. Gardnerian Wicca was founded by Gerald Gardner. This is considered the first modern denomination of the craft. The Gardnerian tradition places emphasis on the goddess over the god, and it has a degree system. So you would have your first degree Wicca, you'd have your second degree Wicca, you'd have your third degree Wicca, you have your priest and your priestess. So it's all on a degree, on what level you are. So it has a degree system of advancement and does not allow for self-initiation. So you would not be allowed to initiate yourself into Wicca. You'd have to be initiated by the coven. Covens in the Gardnerian Wicca or tradition, covens work skyclad, which I kind of touched base with last video. Skyclad is nude. They feel like they're more open to the energies, and you are more receiving of the goddess's energy and the goddess's power if you have no clothes to block that energy. and they aim to have equal numbers of both male and female initiates. The next one is, I always have a trouble saying this. I'm gonna attempt this, and if I butcher it, I am sorry. Um, Sax Wicca. Raymond Buckland, who has written many books, same thing with Gardner. Raymond Buckland, actually, I have a few of his books, and they're really very informative and they're very good. Raymond Buckland founded this tradition in 1973. This tradition has Saxon basis, but is considered by the founder to be a new denomination of the craft. Main features of the tradition are the fact that it has open rituals, so anybody can come. That's what an open circle, open ritual. Anybody can come and observe. Anybody who is Wiccan can come and join. It encourages both group and solitary practice, so it's very open to someone's choice on whether they wanted to become part of a coven or whether they rather, you know, be a solitary practitioner and kind of follow their own way. And it also supports self initiation. And skyclad is optional. You don't have to do rituals in the nude if you don't want to, which I, you know, to each their own, right? I mean, so the third tradition is Gaia Wicca. Kisma Stepanek founded this tradition in 1985. This Earth Wicca is a unique weaving of Native American traditions and European Wiccan traditions. It's into a holism. Apprenticeships are based on the traditional year and a day with a degree system of advancement. And it does not allow for self initiation, so again, you'd have to be initiated by the coven. Covens are predominantly female, but it is open to men. Both goddess and god energies are put into use with the aim toward balance. And the 8 Sabbats are celebrated, and magical workings are at the monthly Esbats. So I will not be going over Esbats in this video, but I will be going over Sabbats, and I'll explain each one to you. I will not be providing rituals at this time because, I mean, time will not allow for that, I can promise you. So, but I will be explaining each Sabbat when they are, what they mean. Okay, so the fourth one is Frost's Wicca. Gavin and Yvonne Frost founded this tradition in the early 1970s. Known as the Church and School of Wicca, apprenticeships were gained through a 12-lesson correspondence. And because of this if I can speak, that'd be great. Apprentices undergo a self-initiation. Although originally there was no mention of work with the goddess, they did modify their tradition to include her. The fifth tradition is Dianic Wicca. This is a tradition that included both male and female practitioners and worked with the triple moon goddess and the horned god. Rituals took place outdoors, usually in oak groves. The sixth one, which I'm going to get into a little bit, the woman who founded Circle Wicca is actually, she's very, very well known and very respected in the Wiccan world. Selena Fox. I read a lot of articles that they have about her, and I follow her on Facebook, and she really is such a huge inspiration for me as a Wiccan. And I really do suggest that you follow her on Facebook and you read articles on her. It is just, it is so amazing what she has provided for Wicca. So it's Circle Wicca, and Selena Fox and Jim Allen founded this tradition in 1974. Circle Sanctuary is a 200-plus acre nature preserve in Wisconsin. Circle differs from many traditional Wicca in that it is more in line with shamanism and American Indian ways than it is with the European ways. So the seventh tradition we have is Celtic Wicca. This is a very difficult branch to kind of pin down and define because the term Celtic basically covers about 8 countries and often combines the mythological traditions found in those countries. And I mean, if you know anything about mythological anything, you just know it's so vast. There's so much to know and to include and to have and to, I mean, there's so much. It's really, I mean, I'm eclectic. So I kind of grab and pull from all the different traditions, but I'll get into that a little bit. So I don't want to go off topic like I tend to do, even with a guide. So, um, so this covers about 8 countries and often combines mythological traditions found in those countries. However, for the most part, Celtic Wicca in America is centered around the English and Welsh traditions, combining two systems of magic, Druidism, and the more modern aspects of Wicca, as introduced by Gerald Gardner. And the last one is Alexandrian Wicca. Alexanders founded this tradition. Rituals, although basically Gardnerian, are modified with many Judeo-Christian and ceremonial magic elements. Covens work sky-clad, and they observe the 8 Sabbats, and the god and goddess are also observed. Excuse me. So that is a quick little history on, um, like pretty much when, Wicca was established, as far as being more um, known to us, to everyone. Um, so that kind of gives you a basis. And those names, I encourage everyone to Google Alex Sanders and Selena Fox and Jim Allen and Gerald Gardner and Raymond Buckland. I mean, these are all fantastic people. I really encourage you to look them up and, look into their background and their history and what they've provided for Wicca. So next we have the history of witchcraft. Now, witchcraft has much more an extensive history than Wicca does. Wicca is fairly modern, where witchcraft has gone back for centuries. So I will start off with this, that witchcraft is a very simple word with a deep meaning and history. The idea of witchcraft stretches over a long period of time and spreads throughout the world. Witchcraft has been described as working with the devil. If a person were a witch, it was thought that the person would have made a pact with the devil or would be able to perform black magic. Scientists who have studied the witchcraft trials say the hysteria had to do with people's idea about how everybody's events could be explained. So that means they were explained in terms of a belief of witchcraft. People want order in their society and they don't like chaos. Anything like you gaining enemies or catastrophes happening or just bad luck in general make people feel like they are not part of the natural order. And whenever they're threatened or feel threatened, like everything's just not going right or why did this horrible storm happen, it was just considered witchcraft, and there had to be someone behind it. Many arguments about witches follow 500 BC. Each statement is contradictory to the one before it, and many recent arguments are always accepted as the new and correct one. So, if you go back and you just like read all the different, look at the hunts, the witch hunts they had, and the Salem trials, the Salem witch trials. Back then, now we're free to be witches, and, back then, and even now, there's still a stigmatism, and there's still this, like, it's like a taboo thing. So each time they come up with this, like, idea of what it is, so many, like, X amount of years later, they come up with this new thing of what it is, and it X's out what they said before, but now this new thing is what it is. So there are many different, it'll always be there no matter what, unfortunately. But so witch hunts were popular, and people felt it was necessary to conduct these hunts. From the mid 1400s to the mid 1600s, witchcraft trials erupted, sending death rates up to 50,000 to 80,000 people that were executed throughout Europe. About 80% of those executed were women. The deaths per country varied. In Germany, 26,000 people were executed due to the accusation of witchcraft. About 10,000 people in France were executed due to the accusation of witchcraft. 1,000 people in England were executed. Only 4 people in Ireland were executed. I say only. I really shouldn't say only, because nobody should ever be punished for, doing something positive. As long as they were doing something positive, it should never happen. Excuse me. Witch hunts took place during the 17th century in the American colonies. The Salem witch trials followed in 1962, not 1962, 1692 and 1693, resulting in the executions of 20 people. 5 others died in jail. What contributed to the end of witchcraft, execution, and hunts in Europe was the Enlightenment. Beginning around the late 1680s, the Enlightenment brought reason, doubt, and humanitarianism. Each helped defeat superstitions. The Enlightenment said that there were no real evidence that there were witches that caused harm, and that the use of torture upon them to force out confessions was cruel. I'm sure we can all agree that that is a fact. Europe was done with witch hunts, but the history of witchcraft affected the Salem witch trials in the Massachusetts Bay Colony area because the Puritans took the history, the ideas, and the beliefs of witchcraft with them to the New World. It wasn't until the governor of the colony, upon hearing that his own wife was accused of witchcraft, ordered an end to the trials. So that's a basic rundown of witchcraft history. I mean, there really is so much more, but that just goes to show you how many people were accused of being this horrible, evil thing, being a witch. I mean, like, that's, and were executed. They paid with their life. And the reality of that is that not a good majority of those people were not even witches. Witches did go underground after the hunt started. Witches went underground. They didn't speak of of them being witches. They didn't speak anything about it. They hid in plain sight. They just didn't say anything. So that's another thing that would be great for you to go and look up a little bit. Like I just gave you a quick rundown of it, and so it'd be good to look up what it is, and I mean not what it is, but get more information on it, just to see for yourself how bad it really was. Thankfully, today it is a lot more accepted. It still is a bit of a taboo subject. I mean, there are a lot of witches that are in the broom closet, and they don't foresee themselves coming out anytime soon because they're afraid of being judged by their families, and or even, disowned. There are some families that would not tolerate that or have that in their family. So even though we've come such a long way, we really still are, not completely free to do what we want, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I practice freely. I have, my family knows, and I'm not afraid of, for anybody knowing, what I am and what I practice. But at the same time, I also educate people on what it really is to kind of get that stigmatism out of their mind of what they think it is, and what they think I do. So, but that's just a quick history. So, and now I'm going to go into the Sabbats. The Sabbats make up the wheel of the year. I'm going to start with the one that's coming up. We just had Mabon that passed a couple of days ago, which is fall equinox. And now I'm going to go into the next one that's coming up, which is Samhain. Samhain is spelled Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. It is October 31st, which is Halloween. Excuse me. This is the time where the harvest season closes. The days grow darker. The goddess enters her time of sleeping and dreaming. The god awaits rebirth. The living and the dead. I'm sorry. Let me go back a little bit. Samhain is the witches' New Year. This is the highest holiday for witches and for Wiccans. This is the time that we celebrate. This is for the cycle. Life, death, rebirth. So the night when the veil. This is the night when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. And the meaning of the word Samhain, it has a Celtic meaning, and it means summer's end, which, this is how we've already passed fall equinox. By the time we get to October, the end of October, it really does start to get very cold. It's chilly during the day, it's cold at night. So you can really start to feel the earth going into its dormant state. This is the second oldest unbroken holiday in history. This holiday in the European world is approximated 6,000 years old. So this is quite, it goes back quite a way. Here are some ideas for celebrating Samhain, like some things that you can do to celebrate Samhain. Some of them may include in your ritual, some things you can do outside your ritual. Um, but this is not actual in a ritual. As Samhain comes closer, I will provide a ritual that, if you're interested in doing, then by all means, you can use it. You can come up with your own. But here are just some ideas that you can do on your own, outside ritual or whatever, just to kind of celebrate, the Sabbath. The first thing you can do is carve a pumpkin. Oh yes, carve a pumpkin. Carve a pumpkin and empower it to repel negativity. So you can carve it into any, shape you want, or, even like a little design of a leaf on it, or whatever you choose, and empower that pumpkin to repel or get rid of negativity, to hold it at bay. The second thing you can do, which I think this one's a really cool one for me, you can build a shrine to your ancestors. What better day to, build a shrine and, hold a high respect for the people that have passed on the night where the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. The third thing you could do is add divination to your ritual, which you can do with tarot cards. You could do that with a black scrying mirror, which, I'll get into all of that, in a later video as well, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. The fourth thing you could do, I like this one too. You can get like the styrofoam pumpkins, or you can get the plastic pumpkins at Michael's Crafts or AC Moore or even Walmart or wherever. Fill a small plastic pumpkin with gold wrapped candy and empower it with prosperity. This is a really cool idea, especially if, the holidays are right around the corner. Why not? Why not take that plastic pumpkin, fill it with gold candy, and empower that for prosperity? I think it's a fantastic idea. Another thing you could do for Samhain is research your family history. Make a litany out of the names for your ritual. I think that this is also a fantastic idea to do, especially where, you are showing your respect for the ones that have passed, for your family, and especially having the names of where you come from, who you are in your ritual. The next thing on the list is something that I actually do every year. I set a place at the dinner table for the recently deceased. If you happen to have lost a pet that year, you can also do this for your pet. You can take their favorite food, you can put it in a plate or a bowl and put it where their food used to go all the time, to show respect and to invite them into for dinner. I think this is a fantastic idea. I do this to show respect. Just because they have passed does not mean that they're not still here, and they can't come visit us. And on the night where, the veil is at its thinnest, this is the night for communication with them. So I personally love that idea, and I actually do it every year. Visit the cemetery and place flowers on the graves of deceased loved ones. This is also a fantastic idea. A lot of times people go, and they pass away. The cemetery is where, their remains are. Not a lot of people have time anymore to go to a cemetery and show your respect. People are busy. They go to work. They have children. They go to school. It's just busy, busy, busy on the go. This is the one night of the year you can, a way to celebrate Samhain and to pay your respect to your deceased loved one. So this kind of, it has a, you know, it's a win-win, I guess you could say. So that's a quick rundown of Samhain. And oh, in Samhain, I told you, is October 31st, Halloween. So the next one is Yule, which is anywhere between December 20th and December 22nd. This is the winter solstice. And the reason why it is anywhere between December 20th and December 22nd is because the winter solstice can fall on any one of those days. It all depends on the year. This is when the goddess gives birth to the god. And this is not in a literal sense. This is really is symbolism. And the god is the child of promise, who is reborn with the returning sun. Winter solstice is the time, even though it's not spring, and even though it's the first day of winter, we really are heading towards the light, heading towards the earth coming back from its dormant state. Yule is a joyous celebration of family and friends, of peace and love and positive energy. Wiccans incorporate ancient pagan traditions into the festivities, traditions like the Yule log. The Yule log is also something that you can incorporate into your ritual, which I will explain that when I go into rituals. I can tell you how that is done, how you can incorporate that. Gift giving. That's a very common thing, especially around Christmas time. This is just a couple of days before Christmas. So, I mean, why not? Gift giving is a tradition for Yule. So it kind of fits right in, and it's a great way to celebrate Yule. Wassail cups, which is a drink. Wassail is a drink, and I will provide a recipe to make it. It's fairly easy. So as Yule approaches, I'm going to provide the recipe for wassail, and so you guys can make it at home if you choose. Mistletoe charm. Mistletoe is one of those things that you always see around Christmas time, that you hang it in the doorway, and two people get underneath, they have to kiss. Mistletoe is it makes a great charm and a way to honor a tradition of Yule. And bringing evergreens into the home and decorating it is also, which, I mean, you think Christmas trees, you bring them into your home and you decorate them. You bring a Christmas tree into your home, decorate it, put ornaments on the tree. Each ornament, not all of your ornaments have to be this way, but have ornaments that represent what you want for the coming year, what your goals are, and put that on the tree. And that's a great way to honor Yule as well. The meaning of the word Yule is wheel, and the word solstice means the sun stands still. So, and winter solstice is dated to 3200 to 3000 BC, which brings this holiday to at least 5,000 years old. And here are some ideas that you can use to celebrate Yule. The first one is empower mistletoe for healing and prosperity. You can even if it's like a fake one, as long as you have this, it's all about intention. You don't necessarily have to go out there and buy real mistletoe and try to find it in the stores, or go to a floral shop or anything or whatever you need to do to find the mistletoe. There's fake mistletoe everywhere around Christmas time. Even if you go the day after Christmas and buy, they have like the decorations, mistletoe, and get it for cheap, really cheap, and then you can use that for the next Yule. And you'll have that charm that you can, empower, and you can cleanse it before you use it again. But I can get more into that as well as Yule approaches. Research the history of Saint Nick, and also research, the Christmas and the Yule tree. I think that you'd be surprised at not so much as the Christmas tree and the Yule tree, but I really encourage you to research Saint Nick. I will also have, as Yule approaches, I will have that information for you. I'll provide that as well. Like I said, I don't want to cram all kinds of information into, a half hour or 45 minutes of time. So I'm just trying to break them down really quickly. And as the Sabbats approach, I will definitely go into each one as they are approaching. Empower Yule and Christmas cards with loving energy. This is a great one because when you send, it's when you send a Christmas card. Excuse me. When you send a Christmas card to someone, I think you have great intentions when you send it already. You know that you're wishing them a great holiday season. Why not empower that card with loving energy? Energy carries a long way, and it can pack one heck of a punch. So, and that in a good way. If you empower something with loving energy, believe me, when that person opens that card, they're going to be able to feel it. They're not going to say, "Oh, I feel loving energy come off this card. They must have sent me loving energy." That's not how it works. But they're going to feel, they're going to feel something. It's not, you know, it's all about energy. It's all about intention. I love it. This is why I connect so much with this. Empower your Yule tree ornaments with prosperity. I think this is also a great one because as you're hanging, like you have all your ornaments, empower them with prosperity and hang them on your tree. So this is. I'll also go into more about that when that approaches. Empower all the gifts we give with love and happiness. Just as you would send your Christmas cards with, empowering them with love and energy, empower all your gifts with love and happiness. It's 'tis the season, right? So, build a Yule altar to honor the spirits of the wolf and the stag. Now, I feel that, you know, I have never really done this one. I do have an altar. What I do on my altar is when Yule approaches, I have pine cones that I put on, and I decorate with different things. And as each Sabbath approaches, you change out the decorations and your symbols for each Sabbath on your altar. But like for instance, for your Yule altar, you don't necessarily. This is just just an idea. Just if you wanted to use it. But if you want to go simple, you can just go outside and grab some pine cones. You know, cleanse them, sage them, and empower them, give them a purpose, and put them on your altar and have that as your symbolism for Yule. The next one is Imbolc. Imbolc is February 2nd. It's also known to, everyone else, Groundhog's Day. Another word that they use for this holiday is Candlemas. This is the quickening of the year. Winter buds appear on the bare trees. Green life stirs under the frozen earth. The infant sun, which is the god, grows in size and strength. Imbolc is a fire festival, a festival of lights, so to speak, sacred to the Irish goddess Bridget. Wiccans light candles to illuminate the winter darkness and start to spring clean. I think this is a fantastic. Instead of waiting for spring to approach, this is a great time to start your spring cleaning. Is on Groundhog's Day, on Imbolc. This is when the changes are starting to happen. This is when the life is coming back to the earth. The earth is starting to emerge from its slumber, from its dormant state. The meaning of the word Imbolc means in milk. In the age of the holidays, unknown. But here are some ideas that you can do to celebrate Imbolc. The first one is you can add a circle of white candles to your altar setup, each one representing a goal you'd like to achieve in the coming year. So let's say if you're looking to get a new job, one candle would be to find a new job. Let's say if you need a new car, another candle would be a new car. Let's say if you really want to be a more forgiving person, a candle can be for being a more forgiving person. Let's say if you want to meditate on a more regular basis, a candle can be for that. You have one candle for each goal that you have for the coming year. Empower them and then light them during ritual. Here's another one. Banish winter by burning paper snowflakes. You can make paper snowflakes out of construction paper, or even out of lined paper, printer paper, whatever. Just of course, be careful when you burn paper snowflakes, just for the fire hazard, alone. So make sure you're in a safe place, that you have something nearby that you can put the fire out in case it gets a little out of hand. I don't know how many paper snowflakes you want to burn, but I mean, if you really don't like winter and you got that thing packed full of paper snowflakes, you might want to have a nice big cup of water handy, just in case. Bless your pet and give him or her a safe amulet for his or her collar. Or you can place the amulet in a protected area of the cage if it's for a small animal, bird, rat, gerbil, whatever you have. I think this is a great one as well. I mean, you are blessing your pet. You're giving them an amulet to keep them protected, to keep them safe, and who doesn't want their fur baby safe? So, and the last idea, just, like I said, this is not limited. This is not all the things you have open to. These are just some ideas. In a ritual, you can offer the gods milk as an offering. When the ritual is done, you can then go outside and pour the milk into the ground, giving it back to the earth, or you can leave it in the bowl outside for the animals. The choice is yours. Just remember, if you have stray cats outside, milk is not the best thing for them. They're actually lactose intolerant. So just keep that in mind. If you know that you have like a lot of stray cats, milk might not be the best thing for their bellies. But the choice is yours. You have to decide on whether that works for you and where you live or not. The next one is Ostara, which is the spring equinox. This is anywhere between March 20th and March 22nd. Again, depending on the year and what day it falls on. That will depend on exactly what day Ostara will be on. The year is in perfect balance on this Sabbath because light and dark are at equal times. It is equally light as it is equally dark. The god is now a green youth, and the goddess is in her maiden aspect. Their courtship dance begins. Ostara is a solar festival of fire, light, and fertility. Sacred to the Saxon goddess of spring, Ostara, Wiccans follow the old pagan custom of dyeing and painting hard-boiled eggs, and then balancing them on their tips to represent it symbolizes equilibrium. Wiccans work magic to balance any imbalances that may be going on in your life. That's also the representation of balancing the egg right on the tip, like the standing up the long way, and it may not be easy at first to get that balance there, but try and try again. It's just a symbolization to, of balance and equilibrium and having that equal, balance in your life. The meaning of the word Ostara means the month of beginnings or the month of openings, which, makes sense if you think about it. This is spring. This is when the buds are on the trees. This is when you see the flowers start to bloom. Or even like just the little flower sprouts coming out of the ground, depending where you live. I mean, if you live in Maine, you might not see, buds quite yet. But the earth is still coming back, from its dormant state. Ostara is aged to 3000 BC or older. And here are some ideas to celebrate Ostara. The first one is to color and empower eggs for health, wealth, and prosperity. The second one is to incorporate chocolate into your Ostara ritual. Yeah. So, bless your seeds for your garden. This is about the time that people start to get their gardens ready. And, depending on where you live, again, if you live, really far up north, if you live in Maine, it may not be ready for you to, but it's still, you can still have, if you have your seeds, bless them. Bless the seeds for your garden. And then what I have here, the last idea that you can do for Ostara is hold your ritual at dawn instead of either the middle of the day. You can hold your ritual whenever you'd like. This is just an idea. You can hold your ritual at dawn instead. The next Sabbath is Beltane. Beltane is May 1st. By May, the light has grown longer and everything is flowering. The virile young lord and the fertile maiden celebrate the evident consummation of their relationship. Beltane is sacred to Maya, who is a Greco-Roman goddess of spring. It is a fire and fertility festival that celebrates the transformation from maiden to mother through the mystery of sexuality. Wiccans gather dew on May morning, put flowers on their altars, leave offerings for fairies, and tend sacred places like groves and wells. I will point this out, okay? When working with fairies, okay, you need to be cautious. They are not bad beings. They're beautiful and they are very helpful. However, they are mischievous. They're about as mischievous as they come. Okay, if you invite a fairy in for whatever purpose, whether it be in a spell, whether it be, asking for help in something, even here, if you leave an offering for a fairy, and an offering is to thank them, be very careful when you invite a fairy in, because they're hard to send them back. There are different things that you can do to send them back, and I will definitely get into that on another video, and just let you know how mischievous they really can be. They're cute little things, but sometimes they're not easy to say, okay, it's time to go home. So I just wanted to throw that out there, so you have that knowledge. The meaning of the word Beltane means bright fire or lucky fire. And Beltane is said to be the oldest known holiday, at least 10,000 years old. And here are some ideas for celebrating Beltane. The first one that you can do is hang prayer ribbons on the trees and bushes on your property. As long as, there are some people that wouldn't do that because they have neighbors, that they don't want them to know that, they're a Wiccan, or, they practice in this, so they might not want to put ribbons all over their property, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. It's just an idea. The second thing you do, or can do, is collect morning dew for magical use, and you can store these in containers. You can get like they have like little mini mason jars that they have now. They're really small. You can go out there and collect morning dew and hold it in there and store it in there. Hang a branch of rowan tied with red thread above your bedroom door for protection. And you can add spells for self-esteem and self-love to your Beltane ritual. And you can bless your garden, or if you don't have a garden, you can go to the nearest field and bless that instead, so you can, it gives you more options. Like for me, let's say if I don't have a garden, I plant flowers every spring and I have them on my porch. And so I have things like that. I don't have a garden in the backyard. So you can even do something like that if you wanted to have like your own, if you have like a porch, like if you live in an apartment building and you have, like a little porch out that you can go sit on, you can have like potted plants, and that can be your garden. Or like from where I live, if I drive to the next town over, then they have fields over there. They have crops and they have cow farms and whatever they have over there. I can always go by there if I wanted to, and I could, bless that instead. So the next one is midsummer. There are a few different names for midsummer. There's midsummer, there's summer solstice, and there's Letha. This is June 20th to the 22nd. Again, depending on the year. It will depend on what day Letha falls on. Letha is the time where the earth is in full bloom. Like, this is the first day of summer, and everything is alive and green and colorful and beautiful, and everything is, you have the birds that are they have their nests with babies, and so the earth is really fully alive. The mother is pregnant, and the god is the king of summer at the peak of his powers. Letha is the longest day, marking the division of the year. This is the longest day of the year, the summer solstice. This is a good time for hand fastings, which a hand fasting is a Wiccan wedding. And it's also a good time for male rituals. Also good for workings of empowerment, consummation, and culmination. The meaning of the word Letha means moon, and not quite sure on the age of the holiday. It's unknown. But here are some ideas on celebrating Litha. One of the things you can do is begin your ritual at dawn. Just like the other one, you can hold your ritual at dawn instead of holding it later on in the day. A second thing you can do is work magic for partnerships and unions. So you can, like, let's say for instance you're married and you want to, have like a little sachet, and carry that around for, love or whatever it may be. You can do like you can never ever, and I'll just throw this out there, that you can't change someone's will. Like you can't make them bend to your will with magic. Just wanted to throw that out there because I know I said, a sachet for love or whatever, but you can't do that. It's very much frowned upon. You can incorporate the legend of descent into your ritual. I will get more into that as that Sabbath approaches. And you can build your own circle of stones. So like I have my altar space in my attic. It is my space. Well, it's mine and my husband's space. He has half of the attic with his workout equipment, and then I have the other half of the attic that has my altar area. And that is my space. And if I wanted to go out and collect stones and, which ones feel right to me and which ones don't, and cleanse them and give them a purpose, I can, I can have my own circle of stones around my altar space. So that's that one. The next one is Lunasa. Lunasa also is called Lammas. This is on August 1st. The days start to grow shorter and the fields are heavy with crops ready to be harvested. The corn king is sacrificed and mourning begins for the death of the god. Lunasa is the first of the Wiccan harvest festivals, a festival of fire and light named for the Celtic god Lu, Lord of the Light. Wiccans bake bread, put grain on their altars as a symbol of this Sabbath, count their blessings, and give thanks to the goddess. The meaning of the word Lunasa means to give in marriage to Lu. And the age of the holiday is unknown, but here are some ideas and ways that you can celebrate Lunasa. You can bake bread or pretzels. This is like, one of the, especially if you're first starting out, you definitely want to keep it simple. You don't want to go in over your head. You don't want to, start trying to get into the more difficult rituals or difficult ways to celebrate. I mean, I don't really think they're difficult, but it can be very, very nerve-wracking to jump in head first, and say, okay, well, I'm gonna go get this ritual that is an hour and a half long because it's gonna make me feel. It will, believe me when I tell you, it won't make you feel like a Wiccan. It's gonna make you feel uneasy and overwhelmed. Start small, and I really can't stress this enough. So one of the ways you can celebrate that's fairly easy is bake bread. You can buy the quick breads at, the grocery store. The pumpkin. Pumpkin is a fantastic one because this is the first of the harvest festivals. And when you hear harvest and you think the summer winding down, pumpkin is, one of the things, or cornbread muffins, cornbread in general, pumpkin bread. These things can be baked and in a way to celebrate Lunasa. The next one is to bless marriages, babies, and homes. So as this Sabbath approaches, I will give you different blessings that you can use for each and every one. I'll give you options so that way you're not stuck to just one. And don't forget, you can always write your own. You can always look at the examples that I give you and decide that you'd like to use those as a guide to write your own. And that is absolutely perfectly okay. It's encouraged, really, to come up with your own. Another thing you can do to celebrate Lunasa is have a picnic outdoors. What better way to really end the end the summer than to enjoy the outdoors? Sit outside, feel the change, feel the turning of the year, feel that it's not, it may still be very, very warm, but just observe everything that's going on around you. You can make a wreath out of grain and to honor the harvest. Excuse me. So this is not like the little grain, like, the ground up grain. You can't really make a wreath out of that. But if you get like the, the long grain, like the stalks of grain, I don't even know what they're called, but they sell them at, the different floral shops or whatever. Honestly, I'm not even sure where they sell them. You can really just go to, I'm sure like maybe grain stores have them, or farmers even. You might want to say, hey, listen, like I'm looking for this. And you can make, I've never made a wreath out of grain, so I can't really be 100% sure on where to even get it unless you grow it. But that's a way that what you can do to honor the harvest. Or, this is a really good one, if you have property behind you, if you own your own home and you have some land that is wooded, a great way to celebrate Lunasa is to perform your ritual in a wooded area. So if you have that area and it's on your property, and it's, you feel comfortable going out there, this is a fantastic way to celebrate Lunasa. And the next one is Mabon. Mabon just passed. Okay, this is the fall equinox. This is September 20th to the 22nd, again, depending on when it falls in the year. Crops are harvested. Light and darkness are again in balance. The god sleeps in the womb of the goddess, waiting to be reborn. Mabon is sacred to the Celtic god Mabon, a son of light, son of the mother goddess Modron. The second harvest festival is a time to enjoy the fruits of your labor and give thanks for abundance. Wiccans put the fruits of the season on their altars as a symbolism for the Sabbath. Bake breads and pies and work magic to balance imbalances. The meaning of Mabon means divine youth, and Mabon is aged to about 3000 BC or older. Some ideas to celebrate Mabon is you can dip leaves in paraffin wax and you can use them in your ritual. You can then, once you use them in ritual, you can bless them and give them as gifts to people. Second thing you could do is make a corn dolly. You can also perform your ritual in a harvested field. Again, this goes back to if you have, number one, if you feel comfortable performing your ritual outside, really is the question. That should be your first question, because you never want to feel uncomfortable performing ritual. You really want to be at home. Granted, the first ritual that you perform is going to be nerve-wracking, because you're going to feel like, oh my goodness, I've never done this before. What if I do it wrong? I know that was me. I was like, I'm so afraid to even do this because I don't know what I'm doing. And the only way that you get better is with practice, and you'll feel more comfortable every time. But this, if you have land and you have a harvested field, but you don't feel comfortable doing your ritual in the harvested field, don't do it. Because if your heart is not in it and you're not focused, you might as well not do a ritual, honestly. You're better off just doing it in your home and being able to give it your all and focus on your intent and having your heart in the game when you do it, You can visit your local orchard to find deity offerings, which is like you can go to a farm that, well, not a farm, but like we have a place, Keith's Farm, that has like the apple trees. You can go and you can pick the apples, the apple picking. This is a great thing to do. You can go and you can pick apples or whatever it is that you're looking for, and you can actually give them as offerings at this ritual for the god and goddess. This is handpicked. Your energy is into it, and this is a very meaningful offering. And one of the last ideas that I have here is thank a field for rendering its harvest. Again, you can, if you have a field, you can thank your field for providing it with food. Or if you're like I said, my next town over has a field, and I could always go there and thank that field for rendering its harvest. So those are the 8 Sabbats. So like I said, as they approach, each and every one that approaches, like Samhain is coming up, I'm going to provide a ritual. I might even provide an alternate ritual. That way, you have 2 to choose from, and you can choose which one fits best for you. I will also go into more things that you can do. This is just a quick rundown. I just see we're approaching an hour. So you can go through, I will go through more things that you can do to celebrate Samhain, and more of a meaning as well involved. That way you really are fully informed, and I won't do it the day before Samhain. I will definitely do it giving you plenty of time to look over the video and gather up your information and kind of like know what you're doing and know what you need and know what you have to do before. It's not like, surprise, you got to get this and this or that and that, or you don't really need to get anything as long as you have yourself and your intention. That's really all you need. So, and the next thing that I'm going to go into is the Wiccan Rede. The Wiccan Rede, like I said before, it's not like huge, but it's not short either. They say it is good to memorize it. For me, I don't have the best memory. One of the reasons why I write down my information is because even if I have the information up here, when I go to tell you the information that I want to tell you, it's gone. So that's why I have my guide here to kind of help me along. I don't have the best memory. I do forget things quite often. So to remember the Wiccan Rede, which is really, it's not super long, but it's definitely not short. It's one of those things that I don't know if maybe one day I will have memorized all of it, but at this point, I have not. So let me get into this. This is the Wiccan Rede. This is pretty much a guide to follow while practicing Wicca. It is not a rule book. This is not something that you must follow. This is just kind of guidelines to show you the way, to things that, like, you should do this, but we're not telling you to do this. It's just, you'll understand when you hear it. It's just really about making sure that you're not hurting anyone, and making sure that you follow basic principles of Wicca, and making sure that you are not, like I said, hurting anyone, or you're respecting the elements and you're respecting the things that you're working with. So let me get into this. This is how it begins. Bide in Wiccan laws ye must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Live and let live, fairly take and fairly give. Cast the circle thrice about, to keep all evil spirits out. To bind the spell every time, let the spell be spake in rhyme. Soft of eye and light of touch, speak little, listen much. Docile go by the waxing moon, sing and dance the Wiccan rune. Widdershins go when the moon doth wane, and the werewolf howls by the dread wolf's bane. When the lady's moon is new, kiss the hand to her ×2. When the moon rides at her peak, then your heart's desire seek. Head the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and drop the sail. When the wind comes from the south, love will kiss thee on the mouth. When the wind blows from the east, expect the new and set the feast. When the west wind blows over thee, departed spirits restless be. 9 winds in the cauldron go, burn them quick and burn them slow. Elder be ye lady's tree, burn it not or cursed you'll be. When the wheel begins to turn, Let the Beltane fires burn. When the wheel has turned to Yule, light the log and let Pan rule. Heed ye flower, bush and tree, by the Lady blessed be. Where the rippling waters go, cast a stone and truth you'll know. When ye have need, hearken not to others' greed. With the fool no season spend, or be counted as his friend. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. Mind the threefold law ye must. Excuse me. Excuse me again. 3 times bad and 3 times good. When misfortune is enow, wear the blue star on thy brow. True in love ever be, unless thy lover's false to thee. 8 words in the Wiccan Rede fulfill, and harm it none, do what ye will. So this is just a basic rundown of things that you really should pay attention to. And like, for instance, like how it says here, let me just go back. Elder be ye lady's tree, burn it not or cursed you'll be. The elder tree is considered to be sacred to the goddess. It is, you really shouldn't break any branches off of it. You really shouldn't, even when you go to make your wand, like I'll get into that in another video, but you can either get a wand or you can go to a tree and you can take a branch and use that as your wand. However, it is a good idea to ask the tree's permission first, and then thank the tree once you've taken the branch that you need. And never take more than you need. But I will definitely go into more about that in another video. But just to let you know, elder is one of those trees that is sacred to the goddess. And it is, considered one that should not be, you should never burn elder wood. I don't think you'll be cursed, but I think that it really is frowned upon in the religion. So just to, let you know what that means. And then, obviously, the 8 words, the Wiccan Rede fulfill, what it's all about. You can do whatever you want. Anything you want. You can do spells for prosperity. You can do, go every Sabbath and work your magics in your ritual, and you can, do all these fantastic things. But no matter what you do, make sure that you are harming no one. That is the law. It's like Wiccan law, And also, the law of 3. They're speaking of karma. 3 times bad and 3 times good. So it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's good or bad, you will get karma. It comes back threefold. So that's what that is. And then the last thing, before I end this video, is the 13 goals of a witch. These are things that you really should, I'll go over each and every one of them with you, and I'll explain it to you. But these are the 13 goals of a witch. Know yourself is number 1. Knowing yourself is really super important, and this is why it's number 1. Because you can't really know what it is that you're working towards or want or working for if you really have no idea, like, what you want, like how you feel. You have to know yourself completely before you start working magic. So that is huge. Make sure you are comfortable with this. Know yourself, trust your instinct, trust your gut feelings. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. You have to be aware of yourself, your feelings, and how you feel, and just know you. The second one is know your craft. know your stuff. If you're gonna go in, I mean, we all start off not really knowing much. This is how we learn, is to, go and find information and read and kind of just be like, okay, I think I can do this. And then as you do it, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, you become more comfortable. As you become more comfortable, you attain more knowledge. You feel more comfortable taking that next step, and learning a little bit more than you did before, and kind of really just studying. And you have this, like, I know for me, excuse me, I know for me, I was always trying to grab at every piece of information I could. I mean, I have so many books that it's crazy, and there will be a video about books, and which books I think are fantastic, and of course just my opinion, but they are a fantastic resource in getting information. Not everybody has time to read, hence the videos. So, but know your craft. If you're going to, for instance, let's say if you really, really need money, okay, you're really broke, you want to cast a spell for prosperity, you really want to know what you're doing before you start. Knowing your craft means knowing that, what is used for what, who you can call on. There are different gods and goddesses that can be used for different spells. And so that's also really good to know, because let's say if you, for instance, I'm trying to think, who do I want to use here? For instance, the Egyptian goddess Isis. She is considered the goddess of all. Like, she kind of like has everything under control. Like, she's got, like, I got this. That's why she has the wings. She's like just covering everybody. Like, she handles, like, she's the goddess of all things. And then you have, like, for instance, let's see, you have, I'm trying to think of who I can use for an example here. Anubis, who is the god of the underworld. Like, each of them are a god or a goddess of a particular thing or multiple things. You would never call on Anubis if you wanted to buy a brand new car and you needed the money to do so. You can if you want, if that's your patron god, but it makes more sense to call on the god or the goddess that would handle prosperity. So just, throwing that out there, that it's good to know your craft. You're not going to know everything right away. That's, a given, and that's expected. Nobody jumps into, Wicca and witchcraft just, I know everything, unless you're raised in a Wiccan family, or, your family practices witchcraft and has for centuries, and all this knowledge is readily available for you. It's not usually like that, though. So this is how we learn. And speaking of number three is learn. Never stop learning. Even when you reach a point where you are so comfortable, my nose is itchy, sorry. Even when you reach that point where you're super comfortable in everything that you're doing, and you have a lot of knowledge, and you just, like, you know your stuff, there's always more to learn. It never ends. I can tell you right now, it doesn't cease to amaze me on no matter how much I know, there's still so much more to know and to learn. So never stop learning. And that's, like, huge. Like, I mean, for me, it never honestly ceases to amaze me on just when I think that I have this, okay, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing. I do. I know my stuff, but I still got a lot to learn. So, I mean, you just never stop learning. Always seek that knowledge. Always seek that information. Always look for it. There are lessons everywhere. Number 4, apply knowledge with wisdom. This is just taking your knowledge and then using your brain, saying, is this a good idea? Or, taking your knowledge of, I want to do this. Who do I need to do? Who I need to call in to do this? What herbs do I use? What's this? What's that? That's your knowledge. And then you say, should I do this? Or is this a good idea? Or what karma am I going to receive from this? Or many different, this applies to many different things. But with knowledge, use your wisdom. Use, two, they both go hand in hand. Number 5, achieve balance. Huge. If, Wicca is all about, you have this and you have this. Kind of like I can use myself here. I'm a Libra. I have the scales. This is what it is. There has to be a balance in life. Just like there's daytime, there's nighttime. Just like there's life, there's death. Just like there's white magic, there's black magic. There's so many, everything in life has to have a balance. So make sure you remember that to achieve balance. If you are always feeling negative, always feeling down, always feeling drained, you have to reassess your life and find out what is making you feel this way. And then removing that way you can restore balance in your life. 6, keep your words in good order, which it means, respect other people, other people's opinions, other people's religions, other people's views on, even though you may not agree with what they have to say, always be respectful. Always, believe me, there are some people out there that just like, oh my goodness, like, I don't, there are things that you want to say, being a human being, but knowing what you stand for. Wicca is all about positivity and, just kind of oozing positivity and helping and, being mindful of nature and, just being a good person. So keep your words in good order. Like, just don't, sorry, between my nose and my eye, I'm not sure what they're like switching off, like tag teaming my face, like one's itchy than the other one is. The next one is keep your thoughts in good order. And this goes along with, keeping your words in good order. Everybody has that moment where they're like, oh my goodness, like, if this person doesn't stop talking, or like, if this kid doesn't stop doing this, or, there are moments, we're all human beings, we have these moments where we, feel like our thoughts are not always positive. But we have to be aware of that and bring ourselves back to, the kind of like refresh our brains. Okay, that's not a good thought. Let's bring ourselves back. 8, celebrate life. Another huge one. We seriously are put on this earth. I believe in reincarnation. Not everybody does. But for me, for whatever many years I am here in this body, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. I'm going to have fun with it. This is, life is to be celebrated. It's a wonderful thing to be alive and to experience all the things that there are to offer with life. Family and friends and just nature and earth and all the miraculous things that happen. I mean, it's just, how do you not celebrate life? It's just, this is a huge one. The next one is attune with the cycles of the earth. Feel them. Connect with them. For instance, as we have winter approaching, feel the changes in the air as it happens. As October comes and then November, feel the differences. Feel the earth going dormant, knowing that this is a time for slumber, and they will sleep until the spring. And note and absorb all the feelings and the energy of the earth and attune yourself with that. Next is breathe and eat correctly. Okay, as you can tell by, the structure of, I don't always eat correctly, but you really should eat and, breathe correctly. I breathe correctly, I mean, but as far as eating, it's one of those things where, I don't always eat correctly, and I should. And I really should. This is the 13 goals of the witch. But here's the thing about a goal. It's something to work towards. Just because I don't eat correctly does not mean that I am a failure as a witch, because I'm not. So, it's a goal to work towards. 11, exercise the body. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this one. I don't always, I can't say I don't always, I really don't exercise that often. It's like you get caught up with doing all these things, and it just doesn't happen, although it really should. Exercising the body helps you rid your body of negativity, gets all those stressful feelings out. Same thing with breathing and eating correctly, going back to the previous one. When you eat correctly and you give good things into your body and you nurture your body with good food, your body's going to work better. So the next thing, like I said, exercise the body. Exercising the body has so many benefits besides just physical ones. Excuse me. Exercising the body is great for the mind, it's great for the body, and it's great for the soul. Number 12, meditate. This is a big one for me. I do meditate. I can't get this stick on my throat, I'm sorry. So, meditation helps you connect with the universe. It helps you connect with the god and the goddess. It helps you connect with so many different aspects of Wicca, like, the earth, and, when you ground yourself and you center yourself, if you can meditate anywhere. Some people have a hard time meditating just with their eyes closed in the dark room with, no music or just silence. Some people can't do that. I actually know someone who needs to focus on a candle flame in order for her to be able to meditate. That's a fantastic way to meditate. Your focus and your attention is on one thing and allows you to block everything else out, to calm your mind, and to just focus. And your mind reaches that alternate state where you are now able to meditate, and meditation is, again, it's so healthy for the mind and for the body and for the soul. And the last thing that is on the 13 goals of witch, number 13, is honor the god and goddess. So this is, I'm going to say, as a witch, some people don't believe in the god aspect of it. So there are some traditions of Wicca, like if you're a Wicca and you're a witch, let's put it to this way. If you're just a witch, you may, believe in the god and the goddess. However, let's say if you're a Wiccan and you're a witch, let's say if you belong to the tradition where the female aspect isn't seen as the higher deity. Let's say if we have, they mainly focus on the god, or if they mainly focus on the goddess. Gardnerian tradition mainly focuses on the goddess. So honoring the god and goddess, when it says honoring, if you are Wiccan and you follow a tradition that honors the aspect of one more than the other, then just that's fine. That's perfectly fine on that part. Whatever your tradition is, that's what you do, whatever you feel comfortable with. And so that is the video for this one. I wanted to give you, I said I was going to break down the Sabbats for you, the Wheel of the Year, and the Wiccan Rede, and 13 Goals of the Witch, and then, some history. The next video that I'm going to do is going to be, I'm trying to decide whether it's going to be on the tools of Wicca, and, actually show everyone my tools that I have for Wicca, that I have for my altar. I'm I'm not quite sure what I'm going. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the tools though, like all my altar tools and supplies and things like that. Um, I'd also like to touch on meditation as well, go more into that. I know some people have a hard time with meditation, so I'd like to touch base with as many people as I can on meditation because different people have different needs. So, but it has been fantastic having this time with you, and I do hope that you join me next time. Blessed be